In this section, Unit B in the Pennsylvania State Manual, we're going to talk about the student management and discipline. This unit is a general guide to help you manage student passengers. General guidelines are presented which you may need to adapt to meet specific local policies approved by your school district board of directors. In disciplinary cases, always follow written school district policy. And the person ultimately responsible to discipline students is the school principal. And remember what was said in an earlier session, and that is simply this: the conduct of passengers depends a great deal upon the driver. Your attitude, your tone of voice, your respect of the students, and we're going to talk about things like that now. Our objectives, so that you can, at the end of this session, describe local policy, demonstrate essential components of effective driver-student interaction, describe the local policy on serious discipline problems, recognize typical behavior patterns for students in different age groups, and demonstrate basic concepts of assertive discipline. So for introduction, as a school bus driver, you are probably the first contact students have outside of their homes each day. How you greet and interact with the students on your bus can affect their behavior for the entire day. So positive professional behavior towards students is essential. Remember that ultimately your job is to safely transport students. However, their behavior on the bus can impact your focus on safety. So maintaining discipline on the bus becomes a safety issue. Your need to maintain safety makes student discipline your concern. Remember that the school district and your transportation company have written rules and procedures for maintaining discipline. Learn these rules and procedures and pass problems up the chain of command. The principal at your student's school has the ultimate responsibility for student discipline. The last category on the list above is probably the most important, because having a good attitude, presenting a positive image, and being prepared for the work influences how drivers meet their other responsibilities. These behaviors do contribute to presenting and further developing a sound attitude and positive image, improving a driver's ability to meet their other responsibilities. Displaying the behaviors above could make meeting responsibilities to people and employers and school districts very difficult, if not impossible. Further, these behaviors do not contribute to drivers' ability to develop a good attitude, positive image, and preparedness. As there are many categories of responsibility that school bus drivers have, students' responsibilities are limited to a single category: follow the rules. If student behavior is distracting to the bus driver, this can lead to crashes involving the bus. Students and their parents need to understand that following the rules contributes to the safety of the passengers on the bus and other road users in the vicinity of the bus. Because the consequences of behavior that distracts a driver are so potentially grave, students and their parents also need to understand that the school district will impose and follow through with appropriate sanctions based upon the safety of all the passengers on the bus. Students should be expected to follow all rules. These rules should include safety-related guidelines that will help prevent injuries and accidents at the bus stop, during loading and unloading, and while riding on your bus. Students need to arrive at the bus stop in a timely manner. While at the bus stop, students must be careful and attentive and avoid horseplay and fooling around, especially as traffic passes and when the bus is approaching or departing. Interactions with other students should be respectful, and students should take responsibilities for their own actions. Students must immediately follow school bus driver safety and discipline instructions. Despite clear rules, individual students or groups of students may occasionally engage in inappropriate behaviors. Observable behavior that is not appropriate may include putting hands, feet, or heads outside the bus windows, moving about while the bus is in motion, and making excessive noise. Students may throw objects around inside the vehicle or throw objects out the windows. When the bus is reaching capacity, more crowding and shoving may occur, along with pushing, tripping, or kicking as other students board the bus and walk down the aisle. Sometimes a student may refuse to share a seat despite room being available. Some students do not respect personal boundaries and grab or steal the property of others. Language use may be inappropriate. For example, vulgar language, inappropriate language, intimidating or harassing language, and name-calling can be heard or reported. Bullying, harassment, verbal threats, and physical altercations are serious matters that infringes on the rights of other students and should be stopped immediately. Remember that you as a bus driver have class. You are a professional. You are the adult and the authority on the bus. You can build morale, and you should set the clear, positive expectation for the bus environment, which can help maintain good student behavior. By remembering one word, you may be able to remember 5 basic rules for student management. C, consistent. Always be consistent with praise and discipline. Whenever a student behavior problem arises, follow through with appropriate consequences. L for limits. Set limits and make sure that students are aware of them. Limits should be the same for all students. A, attitude. Have a positive attitude. A cheerful smile may change the behavior of a student. The attitude of a driver often becomes the attitude of the students. S, share. Share with students your expectations of them. State the rules and the consequences of violations. Students cannot be held accountable for rules they do not know. S, support. Support other drivers and exchange experiences. Others may be able to assist with difficult situations. By sharing, common problems may be discovered and new techniques explored. Support is also needed from your supervisor and from the school district, usually through the principal. Positive steps that school bus drivers can use to influence students include being social and interactive. By learning the names of your students, being friendly and greeting students by name as they enter the bus, you can establish a positive relationship with your riders and establish mutual respect. You will also know who the students are when you need to discipline them later. Being polite and respectful to students will encourage them to be polite and respectful in return. Make eye contact with your students in the mirror as needed, and use your voice level and eye contact to maintain discipline. Positive feedback about students' behavior is helpful. It is suggested that 5 positive things should be said for every one corrective or negative discipline statement. When necessary, make clear, direct, mature commands to students in a firm, authoritative tone of voice without yelling. Students appreciate being treated with respect. Explaining to them what your job is, for example, safely transport them to and from school, and then explaining to them in clear, age-appropriate language what their job is, for example, to follow bus rules, is one way to set the stage for a positive environment on your bus. Initially, it is very important to clearly teach them what the rules of the bus are and what they are expected to do and not do. For younger children, it may be helpful to have them repeat back to you what the 3 to 5 rules are. Positive rewards for good behavior, like praise, stickers, or playing radio or music, should be utilized to reinforce their compliance with bus rules. Once the students understand the rules, you will also need to explain the consequences of their misbehavior and failure to follow the rules. This may include a single warning and reminder, but subsequent infractions should have consistent consequences. Make sure to match the infraction with an appropriate consequence. Keep good documentation of the steps you've taken to address discipline issues. Make sure to follow through with the consequences. In a classroom setting, multiple exposures to new knowledge and practice with skills are necessary for students to become competent. Bus drivers should keep this in mind and understand that they may need to repeat their rules and expectations a number of times before all the students master and follow these rules automatically. Rules for the bus should be kept simple. Focus on observable behavior that can be measured and stated positively. These examples of negatively phrased rules are contrasted with the same rules stated in a positive way. Keep in mind the tone you are trying to set on your bus, punitive or negative, or clear expectations and positive. You will need to keep an eye on what is happening in the back of the bus throughout your runs to and from school. Frequent visual scanning the rear of the bus and making contact with individual students will help maintain your connection to the students. Similarly, be vigilant and aware as students are transitioning on and off the bus. While it may be necessary to address serious violations immediately, other issues may be dealt with more privately. Make initial contact with the student by commenting on what you observed. Your observation can be a positive observation and praise. For example, I noticed you did a great job keeping your hands to yourself today. Keep up the good work. Or it could be a rule violation. For example, I noticed you were pushing Jennifer. Or perhaps a concern. I noticed you were keeping to yourself today and looked really unhappy. How are things going for you? Continue the interaction by following up with open-ended questions to which the student must respond with their explanation of their behavior. Asking what the consequences of their behavior is will focus the student on what consequence may occur for their infraction. Sometimes, simply engaging in a quick conversation with the student can help them refocus on expectations and appropriate behavior. Following up with the student to help them take responsibility for their actions and engage in cooperative problem solving with you can be helpful and may help avoid blaming you for outcomes and consequences that their behavior will result in. Serious discipline problems require more attention from the driver, so remove the bus from traffic. Do this before dealing with those kinds of issues. Pull into a driveway or a parking lot, or even return to school if the school is close. Doing so will signal to the students that the situation is extraordinary. Remain calm, address students directly, and do only what you have the power to do according to the school district policy. Be extremely careful about touching a child. Remember that your responsibility remains to all students on the bus. Refer serious discipline cases to your supervisor or the school principal. It will be necessary to document problem behavior of individual students or groups of students. Based on your observations and recollections immediately after the incident, try to write down what occurred using simple language that described what happened. Focus on what you saw or another student reported and the length of time or number of times it occurred. By providing consistent documentation, bus drivers will be able to share information with other school officials in an efficient manner that will substantially aid in the process of appropriate disciplinary actions, particularly as patterns of behavior occur or repeat. The details to include in behavior reports are straightforward. These include an antecedent. What was happening at the time? The behavior. What did the student do or say? The intervention. What did you do as a driver, aide, or assistant? The consequence. How did the student respond to you? This is just a graphic of what we just discussed as an example. Here's another example. Antecedent, behavior, intervention, consequence. Children behave differently as they age. Awareness of students' ages can lend understanding to their behaviors. Generally, elementary age students tend to have trouble staying in their seats. When made to sit, they tend to talk. You, the driver, will have to determine how much noise you are willing to tolerate and remain focused on operating the bus. Because of their short attention spans and short memories, elementary age students typically forget events from day to day. This allows them to rarely hold grudges against those that discipline them. Do not allow small infractions to go unnoticed. Consistent response to misdeeds will help children to learn expectations. Elementary age students care about what adults think of them, not so much about the feelings of adults. Children perceived as odd or with poor social skills will tend to be rejected by their peers. Special care must be taken to protect special education students if they are transported with general education students. Middle school age students can be particularly challenging, due largely to adolescence and onset of puberty. They are prone to mood swings brought on by hormonal changes. These changes can influence all else happening in their lives. They tend to become more self-centered than elementary age students, along with more of a focus on acceptance and popularity among their peers. Middle school age students may also tend to test the limits of adult authority. Behavior on the bus will probably include changing seats and loud conversations. Aggression may occur, primarily verbal, but possibly physical. This aggression can occur in the form of bullying and harassment. Children of this age group are prone to conformity to dress and communication styles. Children of this age group are also beginning to explore their sexuality and sexual activity. A small percentage may begin to explore gang activity. Secondary school age children are highly socially self-conscious. Romantic relationships may emerge, and students committed to such relationships, at least for the moment, can cause some trouble on the bus. Watch for other students to try to shield couples making out in the back of the bus. Secondary school age students are concerned about their dignity and want to be treated as adults. This age cohort is also very concerned with group norms and requires conformity in dress and behavior. These students are chronic gossips, retelling everything heard, often with embellishment. Be very careful what you say about students, teachers, or administrators. General guidelines for managing student behavior include these, and we will discuss them in detail. Essentially, disciplinary actions are best kept as small, specific, and focused as necessary. Discipline individuals individually, so long as their misdeeds do not threaten the safety of the entire bus. Chronic troublemakers are best handled by school district administrators. The school bus driver is primarily a bus driver. Discipline by the bus driver is only to be as is necessary to maintain safety on the bus. School administrators are responsible for discipline. Focus your attention on the misdeeds of those engaged in that behavior. Do not threaten the entire busload of students unless the misdeeds threaten the general safety of the entire bus. Professionalism, in terms of school bus discipline, means conducting discipline according to a known set of rules, applying those rules evenly to all students on the bus. Demonstrating fairness and professionalism will encourage students to live by those rules. Now let's view a video that shows some misconduct, not necessarily by the students, but certainly by the parent.
Motive. Mean. Opportunity. If you eliminate any of these, you reduce your chances of being involved in a crime. Don't let this be you.
Each school day in Guilford County, school buses transport students to and from school. The bus driver has the responsibility to maintain order on the bus.
What's wrong, Anna?
I don't want to go to school today because everybody picks on me.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. Is there anything I can help you with? I can't have parents on my bus.
Okay, my child is being picked on by some of the children on the bus.
Okay, I understand that, but what we can do, we can handle that for you.
Excuse me. Some of you have been teasing my daughter on the ride to school.
Get off my
I want
bus.
you to leave her alone.
Ma'am, that's all right. I'm going to call 911.
I don't care who you call. She needs to ride to school. Leave my child alone.
Ma'am, I need you to step off the bus.
Leave her alone.
Ma'am, I need you to step off the bus. Come on, come with me.
Parents should only board the school buses with the driver's permission. If you fail to do so or delay the bus route, you will be prosecuted by law. Don't let this be you.